Yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Today we are going to talk about Winepunk. And if you don't know what Winepunk is, stay tuned for you are about to find out. I am Saara Henriksson from Osuuskumma. And today I have with me one of the creators of the Winepunk Cask War anthology, A.M.P. Rodrigues. The anthology is out now in Finnish. It is translated by Tarja Härkönen and co-financed by the European Union, and we are very happy to present you this book. Welcome, Anna. How are you today?
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's a really joy and pleasure to know that our book is translated in Finnish. And I would like to say, I hope I'm going to say this right, Tervetuloa Winepunk Universe, which I'm being assured it means that welcome to the Winepunk Universe in Finnish.
Kiitos.
I got that right.
Kiitos.
The Winepunk Universe is an alternative history universe, and it started from an episode, an actual episode, like it always happens in alternative history. During 1919 in Portugal, there was one of the shortest civil wars between the north of the country and the south of the country. It lasted 3 weeks. So the north, Portugal, had been a republican regime for 10 years. And the north declared itself independent, a monarchy, called themselves the monarchy of the north, and they lodged themselves in a war to conquer the capital and establish a monarchy again in Portugal. And though it lasted 3 weeks, it's filled with amazing episodes, events, people. It's a very rich source material. And at present, practically no Portuguese knows about the Civil War. Why? Because it's one of those events that nobody was interested in remember. So the North lost the war, and nobody likes to remember losing it. Lisbon did win the war, obviously. We are a Republican regime, but they suffered a lot of humiliations, and no one also likes to remember that. And 6 years after the war, Portugal became, sadly, a dictatorship. And part of the narrative of the regime was that we are a very united country, there was no division, and they most certainly didn't want people to remember that had been a war between North and South. So it was quietly erased by the collective memory of the country. And when I stumbled upon this episode, I found it so rich, so creatively appealing. And you see, why Winepunk? One of the reasons why the North launched itself so fast towards conquering the capital is because they did not have enough fuel reserves to last a long war. And at that time, as today, wars needed fuel reserves to last. So what I thought of was, what if they had remembered to resource to port wine as fuel? Because port wine is bioethanol. And sometimes we are not very much aware, but in the beginning of the 20th century, it was not. It was a time when many possibilities for fuel were available. Or, for example, in 1904, a Father Himalaya presented in the St. Louis World Fair an industrial solar-powered oven. He won a prize, and had at the time the world opted for that, we would have an entire different history and technologies at present. And it's quite funny because one of the authors of the Winepunk in the second anthology that we already have published here in Portugal, he included Father Himalaya in the Winepunk universe on the Republican side for a kind of solar versus wine power face-off. So this is a little bit summary.
I heard that also the city of Porto that is not perhaps very familiar to Finnish readers was one of the inspirations behind this anthology. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, the city of Porto was at the time and is still today the second largest city of Portugal and the most important. And the north and the south of Portugal are a little bit different culturally. Um, I could start by saying, and this is a fact and no one disputes, that the north of Portugal is usually more conservative than the south does monarchy versus republic, but that would probably induce in mistake because you sometimes have an idea regarding conservative and progressive. So I will give a real life example from the same time that this war happened. So in 1918, there was this woman, Maria Adelaide Cunha. She was the daughter of one of the founders of one of the most important Portuguese newspapers of the time. And she lived with her wealthy husband and son in Lisbon. They were the toast of the town. And when she was 48, so in 1918, she fell in love with the chauffeur of the family, who was 26 younger, and they eloped.
She was about my age.
And she asked for the divorce, and her husband refused and forced her to be committed in a sanatorium, an asylum. Yes. And the most famous Portuguese alienist of the time sided with him in forcing her to be committed. And there is even an apocryphal phrase attributed to one of them where he commented, well, we cannot allow this. The problem is not adultery. She cannot have as lover someone of an inferior poor class. So this was a time. And they were from the south, from Lisbon, the progressive part. So,
I have to ask, Anna, what is an alienist?
It was the time what psychiatrists were called.
Okay.
So the term psychiatry is something that evolved with time. Those that devoted themselves to study and trying to heal mental conditions were called alienists.
And a rich woman falling in love with a poor person would be kind of mentally crazy.
Yes, but more than that, it was common at the time, and this case that I'm talking did help to change that. If a woman disobeyed the family, one punishment was to forcibly commit her to a sanatorium.
Yes, in Finland also. We know that from our contemporary.
The lady was a smart, intelligent, cultivated woman, and from inside the sanatorium, she was able to write a book, publish articles that were entitled Not Insane, and they were able to provoke between the people a discussion about the affair. Manuel, who was the chauffeur, he was also imprisoned, though never formally taken to trial. They accused him of rape and put him in a prison in the north as well. And from inside the prison, he was able to contact a lawyer in the north, and he was able to secure that Adelaide was released from the sanatorium. In fact, the civil governor of the city of Porto himself was present to symbolically show support for Adelaide when she was released. And they kept on their fight for justice for her and for the situation of forcing women to be committed as insane when they disobeyed what was expected from them. And it should be noted, until their deaths, Manuel and Adelaide lived in the north, where they were helped, supported, aided. And I think something that the south, that it was more progressive, never showed them. And we know this to be true because her journals, her diaries are available. And she stated that I found it here a support and love that I never have found in Lisbon. Because you see, the North, it is indeed conservative. But when the justice and the heart are involved, they tend to look to things as they are and not necessarily the way they live. So the approach
The
was
soul, the heart and soul, perhaps.
yes,
Yes, you gotta love history.
in a way the approach was, well, adultery is wrong, but what her husband is doing is very wrong, and we need to defend her. And that's exactly what the North and the city of Porto did. And they live happily together until they died here in Porto. You can still see where they lived.
Yes, and in the Winepunk, the book one,
Yes.
we have lots of stories, of course, fictional stories about fictional people, but we see these matters of heart and courage and loyalty and
Yes.
all these things that inspire us in when we are reading history.
Yes, and even inner divide, inner conflict, because and I think you see some that in the Winepunk stories and illustrate things that actually happen, because we have available newspapers and journals, because people fought on the north, for example, on the side of the monarchy, not because they believed in a monarchic ideology, but because it was their land and they could not find in their heart
Of course.
to fight against their own land. So you have also that very rich aspect of the human condition that I think is more interesting than just right or wrong, black or white, true stories that appeal for us as human beings.
And regional interests, and also one's love for one's own home.
Yes. Like I cannot find the land I love, even
Yes.
that the land I love is defending something that I do not agree with.
Can you tell us a little bit about Ilya Mechnikov, the scientist behind the innovation?
Okay, so
in the book.
yes, he's very important for the Winepunk universe. So Ilya Mechnikov is a Moldavian Ukrainian accident scientist. He's a real historical figure. He won a Nobel Prize. He's one of the pioneers of microbiology. And when we started to develop the concept and chronology of the Winepunk universe, we had a tiny problem, because the metabolic energetic rate of bioethanol is not as good as of gasoline or fossil fuels, which was one of the reasons at the time why people opted for fossil fuels instead of other possibilities. So Rogério Ribeiro, who is another one of the creators of the Winepunk and who is a biologist, he came up with the idea. He introduced Mechnikov in the Winepunk universe. So Mechnikov had died 2 years before the events of the Winepunk universe, and we kept him alive so that he could be there. He would be visiting the city of Porto at the time that the Winepunk War started, and he would offer his services to the north. And he would develop a particular kind of waste that would allow for the port wine to be such a feasible fuel as gasoline. So the technology develops because he's there to aid. We use the connection of the Pasteur Institute, because there was a branch of the Parisian Pasteur Institute also in Portugal, and that would make logical that that was part of that institute would be visiting Portugal at the time. So with that we connected not only with France, but we connected also to Ukraine and Moldavia and other regions. Winepunk was imagined to be something that connected several countries from the beginning.
Yes, I understand that there were many natural scientists in the in both the creative process and in the editorial team. So can you tell us a little bit about your own background and about the background of the creative team?
We are all from our degrees from science, all of us, including the publisher. Pedro Cipriano has a PhD in physics, theoretical physics. We don't get more. I have a PhD in theoretical chemistry. Joanna, I think she majored in astrobiology and science of aquatic environments. And Rogério Ribeiro is from biology, though I think his PhD is in biomedicine, if I'm not mistaken. So the main strengths of the Winepunk team, the 3 original founders and the publisher, are all related to natural sciences. And yeah.
I'll show you a little bit about the lineup, yes.
I cannot express how emotional I get when you show me the Finnish translation of the Winepunk. It's such a joy, so I love it. So we are all science fiction and speculative fiction aficionados, all of us. And Pedro migrated from being a researcher to being a publisher. He has one at the moment most interesting and growing publishing houses regarding speculative fiction in Portugal. I remain a researcher, though I'm not only also an author of speculative fiction, I'm also a screenwriter. My first feature film debuted last year, Bloodless Revolution, with the less scratched. It's ironic of title. Yes. It has nothing to do with Winepunk. In fact, I am at the moment at the house of the director of that movie, who put all lights to make sure I look well in the interview, and he's an amazing person. And it's a very interesting episode as well, but that's not why we are here to talk about. So all the team had a particular focus on the scientific aspects when developing the Winepunk universe. And one rule that we have is, of course, we are talking of science fiction, you have to have a bit of imagination, the little dust of not exactly possible, but within the possibilities. But we don't have fantasy elements per se. The dragons are the symbol of the city of Porto, and we don't have dragons floating around. But
we have some tentacles, but biomodified.
Strange monsters floating in the river, but not so. We try to keep that in the universe, and I think we, being all from sciences, aided in the way that we constructed that perspective.
So I heard the first book, the Winepunk Cask War, in Finnish, Viinipunk, Tynnyrisota. Okay. Was many years in the making. How did the legend develop in the process, or the mythology evolve in the process?
Okay, so the mythology of the Winepunk universe, in a way, has 2 phases. You have the first phase. I had that idea, what if the war had lasted 3 years, so what if port wine? I joined forces with Joanne and Rogério, and we started to build a chronology. And then on the 18th of April of 2013, we opened a call for story submissions, open to everyone. And this is a very important. The Winepunk universe is for everyone. Everyone. We didn't go after famous authors. We want everyone to collaborate. So the principles are simple. You have to respect the concept, obviously. If hypothetically you want to write a story in Star Wars, you are not going to invent Star Wars. There is a matrix. And here is the same thing. You have the chronology, you have the concept, but within that, you have all the freedom. And authors submitted all kinds of genre stories. You have terror, horror, you have thrillers with conspiracies, fantastica. It's because you read the anthology, you have all kinds of possibilities within that universe. And we received the stories, work editorially with the authors, and curated, selected, everything. We contact an amazing artist, Rui Alex. I do know what I'm about to show. Sadly, cannot be in the Finnish translation, but this is an example of an original wine.
Beautiful, like Jules Verne-esque, yes. This antique illustration. Yes,
We wanted the book, and that's what we asked Rui Alex, to be an homage to those beautiful 19th century books. The book is filled with Rui's beautiful original illustrations. He did it the old-fashioned way. We didn't say to Rui what we wanted in the illustrations. We gave them the stories, he read them, and we reacted to them and illustrated the way he perceived. And then we had the amazing design, graphical design work from Sandra Maria Teixeira that put that in the book is beautiful. I usually say if you don't like the stories, you can cut and put it in the walls because it's a very beautiful book. And again, this, for example, this detail is very 19th century as well. You put the capitalized letter in the beginning. So when Pedro Cipriano, who is the publisher, came to us, we already had everything prepared. We just needed to be published. And that was the first phase. So the idea of the Winepunk Universe is to be scaled up. And in 2023, we won, and by we say 3 institutions, one from Portugal, one from France, one from Spain, one project to develop a collaborative creative writing encyclopedia within the Winepunk universe. It's open access, online. Anyone can contribute to it with original microfictions. It is in 5 different languages, including English, so that we could reach everyone. We have viewers from at least 40 different countries and already a corpus of 50 original short stories. And to give just an example how anyone outside of Portugal can include something of its own culture and country. For example, in the beginning of the 20th century, at the same time that the civil war between North and South happened, there was upheavals in Bretagne in France. So there was a French author that picked up that episode in Bretagne and joined force with the monarchy of the North and connected the 2 episodes. And Iceland, who is also part of the Winepunk universe, also, they don't have enough port wine in Iceland to use as fuel. So they resource to Winepunk technology, but they use cod oil fuel. And that enlarged, in a way, they created another subgenre, the codpunk universe within the Winepunk universe.
I already see an entry point for the Finnish writers to this universe. We have been in Osuuskumma. We have been toying around with the idea to participate with the kind of the original or the very traditional beer making process to introduce this to this development, very important development just after the First World War in European history. Yes.
Well, I will be waiting for those contributions. You can submit in any of the 5 official language, and we will translate to the other 4. So
can you again can you tell me or can you tell us again what are the 5 original languages of the project?
Portuguese, English, French, Spanish, and Galician. So in a way, the language of the countries that are involved in the project, plus English to make sure that we reach everyone.
Yes. I want to come back to the history for a moment. The Civil War as a subject for Finnish readers is very familiar, but from another point of view, our Civil War in the 1918 was long and bloody and traumatizing, and it lasted. The trauma lasted at least until the Second World War. So it would be for a Finnish writer, it would be difficult to create such imaginative or whimsical story about this event. But once I noticed that once you mentioned that in your team, your creative team or your lineup of writers, you had both leanings toward the Republic and the monarchy. So What, Anna, is your what are your thoughts? How do we build bridges between these different leanings?
Okay, so I cannot speak how everyone should build, but I can speak of what happened inside the work of building the Winepunk universe within a team. Some of us are Republicans, some of us are monarchists, and that's fine. So
and that's true. Or
yeah,
you really have?
true.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
This all this is new information for
yes.
our readers. Yes.
I'm not going to say names. I don't think that's
Of
my
course. Of
place to
course.
say
Yes.
which one is which.
Yeah.
I can
It's
speak for
their
myself.
business.
I believe in the republic regime instead of a monarchic. And there you go. When you believe in an idea, a philosophy, a religion, whatever, you obviously believe you are right in your position, or you wouldn't believe in it and would not stand by it. But however perfect ideas, philosophies, religions, politics may be, they are implemented and lived by human beings, and human beings are not perfect. Human beings can make terrible things, even when they are doing by the right idea. And I think what was important is within the team, we are aware of that. We are aware that you can be on the right side of the issue and still act poorly criminally. So within the Winepunk team, both Republicans and monarchists are very much aware of the terrible episodes that both sides of the war did. Terrible. And not only during those 3-week wars, but after the political turmoil that followed it. So we do know that happened. And I think when you own that awareness, that terrible things can also be done by people that defend your own ideas and perspectives, or even yourself can act poorly, you gain a different insight regarding the other person. So it's not that you change your idea. That's not, is that you are able, by owning that human beings are imperfect and as such can act imperfectly, you can correct, you can forgive, be forgiven, and more important, you can build together, which is at the stake here.
Build and create.
Yes, to create. So that's how it happened. There was never a single discussion between us.
Yes, I think that may be a uniting feature between Portugal and Finland. For we are both at the moment, I think, small countries.
Yes.
Finland is a small country, so we don't have many. We don't have very many people. So we have to get along with each other. So even if the political climate is polarized, yes, but we still have a strong tradition of consensus and working together despite our different beliefs. So that is something that is a feature of a small small country, far from the big power centers of the European continent.
Yes, and I think it's very important that you are able to find this consensus, despite of whatever difference you may have, to work for the harmony of everyone. And I think, generally speaking, Portugal still has also that capacity to know that there you go. Imperfections happens everywhere because and that does not affect the ideas. You can work together, even with people with completely different ideas,
point of views.
Other spectrum. Yes.
Yes. So as you can, as the audience or you people watching can see from the cover, Viinipunk 1. So the Winepunk book 1
Yes.
suggests that there are other books in the making. So Anna, please tell us a little bit about the later developments of the Winepunk universe. Maybe show if you have with you the maybe
I
show us the second book.
I have here the second book. So I'm going to show you a little bit from the inside. So now with each book, we are going with a different aesthetic possibility. So in the first, we had original illustrations. And in the second, we went to the archives, the real life archives, to find the maps of the times regarding the locations where the stories of the second book happened. And from there, we developed the design of the second book. And each book is unique and beautiful on its own way. So the idea from the beginning was at least 3 anthologies. The first one, year 1, Cask Wars, regards the first year of war and the perspective from the monarchy of the North. The second book, this one that was now published, is called The Republic Strikes Back, year 2 of the Winepunk War, and focus how the republics reacted. So the North has the port wine technology. What type of technology would the South react to? What would they develop? I already gave a glimpse by the Father Himalaya and the solar powered, but that's not the only approach that they went. Again, as we said, we gave a lot of freedom for the authors to find their own perspectives. In the chronology, we give a lot of hints of possibilities. And we resource to the fears and also the science fiction of the beginning of the 20th century to develop those hints. And many authors, pick those hints and really develop something amazing. And we will have a third anthology. I cannot say
someday
the title. No, the title exists. We know exactly what the title is. It's
but
regarding
you don't give it away yet.
the war. But I am not in permission to disclose it at the moment. And we'll have a different perspective. So the first one was the North, the second one was the South, and you are wondering what can happen in the third. And I will leave you wondering what perspective is still lacking for us in the Winepunk universe, because that one will be the one that will be focused on the third anthology.
And also with the development of the Winepunk universe and the mythology, also leaving openings for us readers and writers, science fiction writers in other countries to get curious.
Something. It's not a big spoiler, because if you open the book and the Winepunk book, you have the chronology, and the chronology states very clearly that the Winepunk universe, the monarchy of the North, disappears.
It will end. Yes, there is a definite ending point.
Yes, there is the
cataclysm,
war, yes. And everything north and northern Spain, it all goes down under the waters of the Atlantic.
Yes.
So we do define who won the war, not by their own gestures, or maybe yes, we don't know. We'll have to check that in the third anthology, maybe. But there is an end. We want it truly to last 3 years. And in the first anthology, when we I'm really sorry if I'm overbooking the time. When we developed the chronology, in our heads, we imagine, well, after the end of those 3 years, it's over. There is no more Winepunk universe or technology in the world. And we are a bit idiots by thinking that, because obviously you have people walking around. People go to other countries for diplomatic alliances. People who have knowledge passes knowledge to other people. So it is feasible that the Winepunk technology could have survived even if the monarchy of the North would go down.
Disappears.
Yes.
The restrictions are also, they are food for the creativity. So you find out, you will find a way.
Yes, and that's why this is such a collaborative, creative universe, because authors come up with solutions that we never thought about and work very well. So we have one of the authors of the first anthology. He picked that idea. Okay, it would have survived. And he placed the Winepunk technology during Second World War. And I will not say much more regarding this.
Yes.
So
But
possibilities are very varied.
we will see. Thank you, Anna, very much for this interview, and we now know so much more about the world behind the monarchy and the Winepunk universe. And as mentioned at the beginning, Winepunk now available in Finnish, translated by the superb Tarja Härkönen, co-founded by the European Union. Please find the book online at the events and come listen to our discussions and our presentation in coming fandom events and cons. I wish you, Anna, a very lovely weekend there on the other side of the European continent.
Yes. Kiitos, katsomisesta. Saara, thank you so much for you and everyone watching. It was a real
Bye.
pleasure. Bye.